Hello, good evening. This is your STV News at 6, live from Edinburgh. Heart of Midlothian Football Club and its Lithuanian owners are at loggerheads tonight over how the club goes into administration. Directors of the Tynecastle site have chosen a company they want to oversee the process, but parent company UBIG is pushing for a different firm. That means no paperwork has yet been officially lodged at the Court of Session. Well, Gordon Cree is at Tynecastle for us tonight. Gordon.
Well, it's long been said that the people who run the club in here aren't allowed to make a decision without getting approval from Lithuania. But after last week's admission that they were running out of money fast, we've learned they haven't heard from the owners for quite a while, and that left the management here with little alternative but to pursue administration. That, however, has already been hit with complications. At work as usual today, but Hearts staff were left wondering what the next phone call would bring. Last night, the club signalled its intention to go into administration. Tonight, that still hasn't formally happened, with factions in Scotland and Lithuania battling to control the process. In one corner, David Southern, the club's managing director who runs things day to day. He wants KPMG as administrators. In the other corner, UBIG, the parent company in Lithuania. It's pushing for rival firm BDO to be brought in. UBIG is part of the collapsed Vladimir Romanov empire. One of his former advisors has told STV News such disputes were not unusual.
It was a major clash of cultures. There was a car crash in terms of the way that Vladimir Romanov runs his businesses and the way we operate in the UK and particularly in Scotland. And that's where everything began to unravel because he expected people to do things his way.
In the 80s, under Wallace Mercer's ownership, Hearts were a model of financial prudence. Today, their debt stands at £25 million. His son is dismayed by the club's position.
The club has been financially mismanaged, quite frankly, over the last few years. And it's a very sad turn of events. The only positive I'm taking from it now is that we can really get to the nub of the matter, that whichever administrator goes in will very quickly or will hopefully be able to work his way through a tangled mess, and hopefully the club can emerge stronger from it.
The first task for any administrator will be cutting costs and getting money in. That could involve significant redundancies both on and off the pitch. For fans who raised huge sums to keep the club going last season, it leaves a bitter taste.
The administrator going into the football club will need funds to work with. If there's no funds for him to work with, he's simply going to liquidate the club, and that has to be the big concern for everybody, and the supporters especially.
Just over a year ago, Hearts were celebrating lifting the Scottish Cup. Now the biggest victory would be securing the club's future.
So, Gordon, what happens now?
Well, STV News understands that paperwork prepared by David Southern has been signed off by the club's directors. But the hold-up has come because of UBIG wanting to go a different way. We're expecting movement on this tomorrow, with UBIG making a formal approach to BDO to appoint them as administrators. As ever with Hearts, nothing is straightforward. More on this story in the sport later in the programme.
Gordon, thank you very much indeed.
Dundee Chief Executive Scott Gardner says the current directors at Hearts have some very serious questions to answer over the timing of the club going into administration. The Dens Park side were relegated after the SPL ruled the parent company in charge of Hearts had not undergone an insolvency event during the last campaign. Andy Chambers has this report.
Last season, Dundee were something of a thorn in the side of Hearts, taking 9 out of a possible 12 points, almost a third of their total for the season. That wasn't enough to fight off relegation, but had Hearts gone into administration before the end of the campaign, the 15-point deduction would have seen the Dark Blues remain in the SPL. With Hearts now on the verge of appointing an administrator, some fans at Dens Park feel they've been cheated.
Well, I think there was an argument that, subject to the rules, that they had suffered an insolvency process, not Hearts themselves, but UBIG. However, that was deemed not to be the case. Some of our fans will be bitter about it.
Whilst expressing sympathy for all staff at Hearts whose jobs are now on the line, the Dundee Chief Executive says there are questions to be answered by those in charge at Tynecastle.
You'd really have to look at the senior management, the board of directors there, about what they knew as well. You obviously want to know how this can happen, how it can go for months, how you can have a share issue. You certainly couldn't have one in the city when you're effectively and technically trading insolvently and have a share issue and then go bust so very quickly. So I think there'll be very serious questions about that.
It remains to be seen how many of the current first-team squad of 26 will still be at Hearts come the new season, with the future of the higher earners such as John Sutton and promising youngsters like Kevin McCarthy very much in the balance. But one former Hearts captain says despite that, the club could battle back from starting 15 points adrift next season.
I think the players at the moment are just wondering whether they're still being in a job or not once administration takes place. But looking forward to next season, I could see them overcome a 15-point deficit. I think once they get back into the start of the season, the fans will come out in their droves and support them.
But for now, the focus at Tynecastle is the immediate future of playing and non-playing staff alike. Andy Chambers, STV News.